So the Red Wings playoff push continues on with another strong week to try and get themselves right in that wild card mix. And the Pistons, well, their season gets back underway after taking a break off from the All-Star game. So yeah, now let's take a look at all the teams this week and let's see how Detroit sports fared this week. So starting off, we had the Pistons. So the Pistons, they had 2 games and they dropped both games, losing to Orlando in a heartbreaker, and then losing an early afternoon game to the Raptors. So the Detroit gets swept by Toronto. Don't worry, someday Ace will beat the Raptors. Someday, Ace Taker. Someday. But yeah, both games are heartbreakers. Both were games the Pistons probably should have won but found a way to lose. So the Pistons, they continue their great tank for Victor Wenbanyama. Like, other than Jade and Ivy, you know, not much to see here, but James Wiseman did continue to look impressive so far. So that's kind of promising, though, from that trade. But yeah, just, you know, other than that, just the same Piston struggles as before, just the tank continues on. Like, I think a lot of fans have checked out on the season, you know, when the Pistons threw the towel in. Like, you know, now the question is, will Casey actually get fired or not? That's yet to be seen, but the tank continues on as the Pistons continue to add on losses to try and win that draft lottery. So, not much to see here, just tanks and Little Caesars Arena beyond the eye can see. Oh yeah, the Tigers of spring training begins this week, and yeah, let me be honest about spring training, I really don't give a fuck about preseason, because spring training / preseason games literally mean fucking nothing. It's just more player evaluation, it's just test and tune-up sessions before the regular season begins. And let's be real, there's not many expectations expected from the Tigers this year. Like, this Tigers team is probably going to be absolute dog shit. Like, they did next to nothing in the offseason other than a couple trades, and that's about it. Like, I believe the over-under total for the Pistons win total for anyone betting is anywhere from 68 to 72 games, which I feel like that's pretty reasonable, because I think the Tigers are going to be very bad this summer. So yeah, the Tigers are just using the spring training to warm up the tanks and get them ready to go. As long as we get to see some player development here, that's all that really matters. Like, honestly, Miguel Cabrera honestly deserves a better send-off than what the Tigers are going to be beat this year. Because Scott Harris has his work cut out for him after all the damage that Al Avila did to the Tigers. Because Al Avila dug this team so big in a hole because Avila didn't know how to fucking rebuild properly. That's going to take a few more years to fix the damage Avila did. Like, we're rebuilding on top of a rebuild that got fucked. But yeah, other than that, just not much to see from the Tigers until, like, maybe the end of March when the season starts. And now to the Red Wings, as the Red Wings continue their solid playoff push, as they have won 2 out of 3 games this week, as they beat Washington on the road to conclude their 5-game road trip that saw them travel over 7,000 miles, beating the Capitals 3-1, and then on top of that, they even went on at home at Little Caesars Arena. They upset one of the top teams in the league in the New York Rangers, beating them 4-1 handily. Which, that was a very impressive win against the New York Rangers. Because we all know that Rangers team is probably one of the favorites to win the Cup this year. Like, that Rangers team has been pretty hot. Like, don't get fooled by the standings. Like, they're only third because of New Jersey having that great start early in the season. But New Jersey might fall off and the Rangers could pass them for second. Like, I think the Rangers could 100% make it to the finals and go deep under the right circumstances. But, you know, that is if they can get past Boston, though. That's the big question. But, yeah, the Wings continued their playoff push. And also during the Rangers game, we also saw 1 point of inconsistency with cross-checking. Because it seems like, of course, it's with Detroit that the NHL has their new controversy. Apparently, the NHL has their own version of what the fuck is a catch. In this case, in the NHL, what the fuck is a cross-checking penalty? And yeah, how fitting that this inconsistency happens to Detroit. Oh, what? Oh, what? You think just because the Wings are one of the most historic franchises in the fucking league, you think we're exempt from getting fucked by the league? Fuck no. It's always Detroit versus everybody. Honestly, after dealing with this kind of shit with the Lions and the Pistons sometimes, the league trying to fuck Detroit isn't new to anybody. Even though the Wings are an historic franchise, it doesn't fucking mean anything. It's still always Detroit versus everybody. So, not surprised about that inconsistency. But yeah. And then the Wings wrap their week up with a heartbreaking loss to Tampa Bay. Just no answers against Tampa Bay. They just look flat against the Lightning. As it looks like the Lightning finally figured out Derek Long's system. I mean, playing against Tampa Bay, like, they're trying to build the Wings exactly like Tampa Bay. And literally, Tampa Bay is a carbon copy. It's like looking in the mirror. And that's really a gauge test about where the Wings are. And the Wings, even though they've made some great progress this year, they still got a long ways to go. Like, they're still missing something here. And with the trade deadline coming up next Friday, the question is, what will the Wings do at the deadline? Gonna be a tough question for sure. Because Tyler Bertuzzi's name has been on and off the trade block because the Wings might keep him around if they're pushing for the playoffs. And there's also been those rumors about the Wings potentially being the running for Jacob Chychrun from the Coyotes, but... And of course, Chychrun, that name has a lot of meaning to Wings fans because that was the name we passed up on with Ken Holland for Dennis Cholowski, and look how that turned out. So, I mean, if Steve Yzerplan gets some Jacob Chychrun, it's rewriting a wrong that we caused from Ken Holland. Ken Holland calling the shots. You know, fixing the mistake Holland made. So I want to be against it, but I don't know if another defenseman will like this team better because we're missing like a 40-goal scorer on the wing. And we kind of missed out on that with Bo Horvat when Horvat got traded to the Islanders. But, you know, I still got confidence in Steve Yzerplan to get the job done at the deadline. And I hope he can make the right calls. So now the question is, are the Wings going to be sellers? Are they going to be buyers at the deadline to make a push for the playoffs? Or are they going to be somewhere in the middle? I can see it being somewhere in the middle. But yeah, the Wings playoff push continues on. They still got a couple games at hand against the likes of against the Islanders and many others. Because the Wings, they're in that wild card race with the likes of the Islanders, the Sabres, the Penguins, and the Capitals, and the Panthers. Like, we're contending with those 5 teams the rest of the season if we want to make the playoffs. Or at least get one of the 2 wildcard spots. I mean, if we get the first wildcard spot, then we don't have to worry about Boston in the first round. And we can focus on and we would get Carolina. But yeah, you know, just going to be an interesting next month and a half or so to see what happens in the playoff race with at least 20 games left. We're reaching the sprint to the finish in this marathon season. But yeah, another week coming up, and of course the trade deadline coming up. A lot of questions are going to be answered about next Friday. What happens to Tyler Bertuzzi? Will the Wings make a move? What will happen? We will tune in next week to find out. But yeah, anyway, though, I'm out. Let's continue the playoff push toward the Stanley Cup playoffs and get the Wings back in there.